are definitely the crickets coming from Citizens Bank Park because Dave Dombrowski hasn't done anything before the trade deadline. Don't tell me about Sosa. I was telling you all about yesterday. Mundo Sosa is the setup trade. There's going to be another trade out there where they package Didi Gregorius and they get something they really need in return, whether that's a defensive center fielder, whether that's a center fielder, legit center fielder, like a guy like Michael Taylor, maybe. Maybe that's the move that sounds like. Maybe another bullpen arm, like they just traded away at Jose Romero for a guy that they essentially already had at Yoel Camargo. Anyway, who else was out there? Oh, and then also maybe a starting pitcher like Noah Syndagard, like Malley, like I don't know, maybe this kid out of Detroit that supposedly was on the trade deadline in school. Maybe that's the deal that they actually make. But as of right now, crickets. Maybe we wake up. Maybe we wake up right now, Dave Dombrowski, and let's make a move to make this team better. I understand that Bryce Harper's coming back. I understand that Gene Segura is coming back. I understand that by September at the latest, this team is going to look a lot better on paper than it does right now, which is pretty damn good right now. As a matter of fact, you're a wild card team. You're one game up with the wild card team, but the team that you're competing with for that wild card position, you only have one game up on right now. Just made a trade for a pretty nice starting pitcher and another arm as well in Jose Quintana going to the Cardinals from the Pirates. So that's a pretty nice deal. And when you look at some of these guys that have been traded so far, you haven't had a huge, amazing amount of prospects that you've had to fork over to try to get somewhat decent arms. Like there's no guy out there like back in the day, like a CC Sabathia that people are trading, like a Cliff Lee that people are trading. Oh, what are you going to give up? You're going to give up the future? No, you're not going to give up the future for any of these guys. Even if the Phillies, as we showed you yesterday, wanted to go up there and give you any of these prospects, for instance, that we went over yesterday, nobody is costing this. Nobody. What are you talking about? Painter, Abel, Ohapi, McGarry, maybe O'Gary. But apparently he's the guy that the Phillies just aren't trading with, as we told you yesterday from Jason Stark. So any of those names that you look at aren't getting dealt for the names that are being dealt around right now in Major League Baseball. I'm just hoping that by the 6 p.m. trade deadline today, the Phillies make a move that make them better right now. Not Gene Segura, not the cross your fingers for by September Bryce Harper, who got the pins out of his thumb yesterday, which is great. But a deal that makes them better. A guy that I know is on his way here now to either make your rotation better, to either make your bullpen better, or to be somewhat of a better option in center field. Like there were names put out there yesterday. I got them right here for you from John Heyman of the MLB Network. Ramon Laureano out of Oakland, 28-year-old center fielder. Nothing special. Michael Taylor is the most attractive name on here, 31 years of age, hitting 278 on the season. He'd be more than just a defensive center fielder. He'd actually be a guy that you could plug in the lineup and hit pretty decent for you. Adding a 278 hitter to this lineup is pretty damn good. And also, a guy who can play the center field position. Jackie Bradley Jr., his name was out there yesterday from John Heyman. Heyman highlighted the whole Boston connection from Dave Dombrowski. Thanks, but no thanks. And another guy was also traded already yesterday, and Jose Siri, who got dealt. Another name that was mentioned, apparently they were kicking the tires on. This is from Alex Coffey from Inquirer.com. Alex Coffey put out there yesterday, she said that Brett Phillips was a guy that the Phillies were kicking the tires on as a defensive center fielder. Another guy is batting like 175. So, yes, defensive center fielder. And I'm not devaluing the defensive center fielder role. I'm not at all. If it's the 8th inning, 9th inning, a close game, you want to have your defense out there, your best possible defense out there, yeah, you trot them out there. I get it. But here's the other thing. What are the other options? Do the Phillies have the luxury of saying, well, we just need a defensive center fielder and we're golden? Because as much as I wanted to see Mickey Moniak get reps at the major league level, they just weren't ready to do that, so they sent him down finally to get more reps at the minor league level. But Mickey Moniak, as of right now, doesn't look like the answer. Matt Vierling, as of right now, does not look like the answer. Odubel Herrera, no way, shape, or form is the answer. So what's your other option? Scott Kingery in center field again? Yeah, no thanks. Dave Dombrowski, please. By the time I do the show tomorrow, have a move done that makes this team better right now. Not a wait and see type of moment. You see the Cardinals got better already yesterday. Deadline isn't even here yet. You see other teams around Major League Baseball. God, the Yankees. Well, the Yankees were Yankees all day yesterday for moves that they were able to make. Bringing in Fakey Montez, for instance, who was another move. Scott Efros was another arm that they brought in from the Cubs. We just saw him in the Cubs series. These are good guys to have either in the rotation or your bullpen. And the Phillies need both. I look at the center field position right now for the Phillies, defensive center field specifically, defensive center field position. I look at that as being almost on par with just not seeing Jeurys Familia again. So in other words, if you were to bring in a guy like Siri who did get moved yesterday, and you did that for your defensive center field purposes, I would liken that to keeping JoJo Romero in your bullpen just for the opportunity so you wouldn't see Jeurys Familia in an 8-1 ball game again. That would be the equivalent as far as I'm concerned. Make this team substantially better. Now, the problem here, if you're like me and you're holding out hope that the Phillies will actually make some kind of splash, whether that even be Noah Syndagard, for instance, the problem here is the money, because the Phillies are already over the luxury tax, which is something that I never thought I would see. A couple of things that I didn't think I would see in my lifetime, a dominant face of ownership, like when it came to John Middleton, being the guy that's the managing partner of the Philadelphia Phillies ownership group, him and the Buck cousins running the show. I didn't think I'd see that. I now see it. Something else I never thought I'd see is the Phillies ever spending over the luxury tax, and they did that. They did that for Nick Castellanos. Now, as giddy as you might be that Nick Castellanos hit 282 in the month of July, and hopefully he carries it over and gets even better in the month of August, let's just hope that that's the case. But even if you're that excited about it, you're looking at Nick Castellanos going, not worth it. Not worth it. We might have said at the time he was worth spending over the luxury tax for. Hasn't really justified that so far this season. Are you going to be more cautious to spend? Or are you going to, I don't know, say to hell with it? We got to make up for that mistake and spend more money. That's why I don't think the Phillies really do anything unless Didi Gregorius is part of a package. He's not the centerpiece. No one is looking at the Phillies right now and going, how do we get Didi Gregorius from the Phillies? How can we do that? Get our top prospects out there. No, that's not happening. It's, and Didi? Okay. Like, that's what it is. It's the sweetener to the deal. That's all it is. And it could unload a couple of bucks from the Phillies as well, which they're looking to do. And if you're going to get anybody that's making a couple of bucks, like Noah Syndagard, for instance, yeah, you're going to want to unload as much money as possible for now and the end of the trade deadline. Or, excuse me, between now and the trade deadline. That's where the Phillies are at right now.